I almost died at work today and my wife is angry I didn't ask about her day when I got home. I had an incident where I lost control of an elevated work platform, EWP, on dangerous terrain whilst working today. The EWP slid down the hill, did a 180-degree turn through a row of trees whilst I was elevated at approximately 5 meters. It was harrowing and I was left shocked as it happened very quickly and felt like I was going to tip the machine. On return home I had a shot, of vodka to steady my nerves and told my wife. She was cooking dinner and said some conciliatory things when I told her about the incident and asked if I was going to keep working this job. She then asked me to move out of the kitchen while she cooked. I got visibly upset and then she said, well, you haven't asked me about my day. I had to look after our daughter all day. We're in lockdown for COVID and not allowed to leave the house at 8 p.m. She then told me to look after our daughter who was having a tantrum. She since doubled down on her position and said she had exciting news that she now wasn't going to tell me. I said that was her decision. I'm angry that it doesn't seem like she cares that I almost died, and I don't think me being impolite and not asking her about her day is significant in this context. AITA? NTA, but maybe she didn't quite understand the severity of the situation. I know nothing of your work, but your explanation of the incident literally didn't raise any OMG factor in my responses. Only reason why I know it was severe is because you said you almost died. Maybe she was just being dense in her response and it didn't register, and now she's being stubborn and doubling down to try and save face. Yay, maybe. I mean, if you're 5 meters off the ground in a basket and the thing that's holding the basket starts spinning downhill and risks tipping over, you'd be worried. Yay? I'm not sure how explicit I was. NTA, her priorities are whack. Oh yeah, you almost died at work, honey. Why do you have to make everything about yourself, you selfish hubby? Wanna know how my day went? Kid had a tantrum again, so hard. And you never ask how my day went. /s. This is a surreal experience. NTA, she maybe didn't understand the severity of the situation. I guess that's possible. I explained it to her in detail and I'm sure I used the phrase almost died in our second conversation though. I also said I felt like she didn't care if I died and she actually didn't contradict it in the heat of the moment. Info, what conciliatory things did she say? AITA, for asking to have my deceased brother's room. My brother passed away at the age of 16 when I was only 9 years old. I'm now 16 and I share a room with my 14-year-old brother. I hate sharing a room with him because I can't change in my room because he's always in the room playing video games. When he have friends over I have to sleep on the couch and I just don't feel comfortable sharing my room with a boy. My mom has a room where no one is using, but it was my older brother's room that she still haven't even touched. Everything is in the same place he left it in, even the garage he left on the floor. His garbage is still full and his bed is still unmade. She doesn't allow anyone to go into that room. If you even go one step into it, my mom will ground you. I love my brother, but I don't think leaving his room in the same place it was left in before he passed away is gonna bring him back. I recently asked my mom if I could have my brother's room. She got really angry at me for even asking. She told me that I'm being selfish and that if I touch her son's room she'd send me to live with my dad. I told her I rather live with my dad because I have privacy there, which really didn't help the situation. My aunt sent me a message saying how I'm an awful person, that losing a child is one of the hardest things to deal with, and if me sharing a room helped my mom then I should just deal with it. Am I the asshole for asking my mom to have my older brother's room? NTA, everyone grieves in their own way, and at their own pace, but if your mother is still preserving your brother's room after 7 years, I suspect she needs to talk to a professional. She's literally left the trash sit for 7 years in that room. That's not hygienic. Info, is staying with your dad an option? Would you want to do that? Think I would want to stay with my dad. NTA, she is making a 16-years/O girl share a room with her 14-years/O brother when there is another bedroom available. That's not cool. Holding on to a bedroom for this long untouched is not healthy. She needs to start letting go. If you truly do want to live with your dad, you can just call her out and see if she is bluffing or not. Either way, it may result in a better situation for you. Info. Am I interpreting the situation here correctly? Are you a 16-year-old girl living in the same room as your 14-year-old brother? Yes, I am, and I honestly do not like it. AITA for not checking the house. I, 30F, live on a ranch with multiple horses, a few barn cats, and my service dog. Because of an accident when I was a teen, I am legally deaf and have very limited hearing normally, but do alright with a hearing aid. Unless you're shouting next to me, if I don't have my hearing aid in, I can't hear you. Because of COVID spikes in my country, most major metro areas went into lockdown. My brother's, 32M, wife, 30F, was afraid to be in the city with their new baby, 6-month F, and my brother asked me if they could stay with me in the countryside. Agreed as long as they cleaned up after themselves and respected my animal's space. Me and my Sil get along okay, but we've never been close. She doesn't know much sign language, so I have to rely on lip reading when we talk. I really only use my hearing aid when I go out, but I've gotten used to not wearing it at home, which is where the problem is. My brother had to go into the city over the weekend for work, leaving me, Sil, and the baby alone for the weekend. On Saturday I get up and while making breakfast I see that both my brother's car and Sil's car are gone. I think nothing of it, and begin my morning routine. By noon my Sil's car comes back and I'm training a colt. A bit later and the colt spooks bad and starts pulling away from me. I try to calm him, but a hand gripping my shoulder and spinning me around forces me to let him go. Sil was screaming at me. I was only getting every other word and struggling to read her lips because she was talking so fast. Apparently the night before, at some point she had told me she was going into town to shop but didn't want to take the baby, so she asked if I could watch her. To her I answered and she took it as a yes. So this morning she went shopping and left the baby for 3 hours. I told her I never heard her request, and had I known would have absolutely watched the baby. She called me a negligent monster for not checking the house and just assuming she took her baby. I told her that was unreasonable and asked why she didn't make sure I understood her before she left. She called me a plethora of insults, and stormed upstairs. I feel awful. The baby had cried all morning and I had no idea. It makes me sad and sick thinking about it. I tried to reconcile with Sil, but she won't talk or look at me. My brother came back late Sunday and agreed with his wife that I should have checked the house before going out to take care of the animals and that his daughter comes first. I told them their baby is their responsibility and my animals are mine, and that Sil should have really made sure I understood her request before leaving. We fought, and now things are tense. I don't feel like DA because I'm opening my home to them. I'm not a babysitter, and if Sil had a request I feel she should made it clear. But on the other hand, my poor niece was left for 3 hours, and now even my parents are calling me negligent. Am I wrong for not checking the house to see if anyone was home? Okay, so you are nearly deaf. They know this, and in no way did Sil find it necessary to confirm that you heard or understood that she wanted to leave the baby. She most likely said something, if she even did, when you had your back turned or were in another room. Nothing was your fault. It's their child and their responsibility. She should have checked with you before even leaving TBE house that you would watch the baby. Being hard of hearing, there was no guarantee you would even hear the babe cry. No, you do not have your check your whole damn house before you go outside. They knew your condition, they knew you had animals to take care of. They know they are completely in the wrong as parents. Worst case scenario, you explain this to CPS/police, they will agree the parents were in the wrong. They should have confirmed before leaving their child. You are not a babysitting service, you are not a bed and breakfast, you are not responsible for their family in any way. They messed up and they owe you an apology. Honestly, send them back to the city, they are not worth the drama. NTA. NTA, sillies for being an incredible idiot for assuming that the deaf person heard her request and assuming that whatever you said was yes. Also, makes perfect sense to assume the mom took her child with her. You know what doesn't make sense? Assuming the person you know is fucking deaf heard you. It's driving me crazy that it seems like the SIL hasn't figured out how to properly communicate with UP. I understand you can't learn a language in a short time period, but like, they can't text each other. There's no paper in the house to write a note. They could absolutely figure something out that allows them to communicate and have clear consent to leave a baby in someone else's care. Even if UP had agreed, the SIL left before even saying, "Good morning, I'm heading out to the store. Thanks for watching baby for me." NTA. She called me a negligent monster for not checking the house and just assuming she took her baby. This right here is bullshit. She is the parent. That baby is 100% her responsibility, not yours. Any reasonable person would assume a mother didn't leave her baby at home without making arrangements first. Since you didn't hear her ask, there's no reason you would ever have thought the baby was with you. This is completely her fault, in my opinion. If I needed to leave a 6-month-old child with someone else, I'd be giving a laundry list of instructions about feeding, changing diapers, and other things. No way, not in a million years, would I leave my baby with someone after a single question. On top of all this, even if she did think you agreed to watch the baby, she apparently just left the baby alone in a room and walked out. This is unconscionable, in my opinion. If it were me, I'd make for damn sure someone was actually with the baby or make sure they were aware the baby was sleeping, if it was, before I just left the house. You don't just walk away leaving an infant alone without making sure someone is keeping an eye on them in some way. It boggles me how utterly negligent she was here, and how much she is trying to blame it on you. NTA at all. Your brother and Sil should be ashamed. I don't have children, but if I did I would never just leave in the morning before who I thought was going to watch them was up for the day and I double checked that they remembered / still agreed. You're even more excused because you can't hear. Why would you check your own house for a child that isn't yours? And why would your Sil not get you to verbally say you would watch her? That's insane. Honestly, I would tell them they need to go back to their own home if they're going to treat you so unfairly when you're sheltering them out of the kindness of your heart. I feel bad for your niece, but this was in no way on you.